Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Peter here. Today's video is Creed Viking. I smelled this for the first time in Vancouver with my buddy Joe when I went to visit him. They very kindly gave me a little tub of Viking to test out. For me, I don't get the correlation with the name Viking. This isn't how I'd imagine a Viking to smell. I don't really get any of that imagery at all. I don't particularly like the shade of red on the bottle. It's a little bit garish. I think they'd have been better using a deeper, darker red to make it a bit richer. I'm not a fan of this bright red. It's just, I don't know, it's not my taste. When I smell the fragrance, I get a vibe of an old-fashioned, like an aftershave. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of an old men's kind of aftershave. Vibes of Old Spice, something like that, or I can even imagine it being bottled in something like a Ralph Lauren Polo bottle. It smells dated to me, and it smells like an older man. It smells mature. The main notes that I get from this fragrance are peppermint and pink pepper. It has a fresh, minty, spiciness to the fragrance. Those are the two main notes. There's a little bit of citrus in the opening, very, very minimal, but there's bergamot and lemon in here, so it has a bit of a fresh opening. But that pink pepper gives a lot of freshness, as does the peppermint. There is a hint of lavender in here. I think it almost gives it a barbershop. I don't think that's the correct term or the best wording choice, because to me, barbershop is kind of a thing that reminds me of shaving foam. That's how I think of a barbershop fragrance. This doesn't remind me of that. This smells more like an old school, retro kind of cologne, Old Spice, like aftershave. That's kind of what it reminds me more of. It's a fresh, spicy, masculine fragrance. There's no way a woman, I don't think, would want to wear this. It does smell very masculine. But it just smells dated to me, is my opinion. And it does remind me of like an aftershave for an old man. There's another vibe that it gives me, and I've not heard anyone say this before, so maybe you won't agree, but to me it reminded me of Lynx deodorant or Axe body spray. I can't remember which specific Lynx it reminds me of, but it reminds me of a vibe of someone that's like been working out in the gym with weights, and they've gone to the locker room, they're all sweaty, and they just grab a can of Lynx and just go shh, and then put a shirt on and go leave the gym, and you walk past them on the way out and you get hit with this kind of masculine, spicy, fresh, you know, thing. That's what kind of Viking reminds me of. It reminds me of that kind of smell. And there is something a little bit metallic almost to Viking, and I think maybe that also is what's reminding me of that, because those body sprays, you can smell the metal of the can in there. It smells like aluminium or aluminum. You kind of get that vibe, and Viking has a hint of that, where it just reminds me of a body spray. So for me, when I perceive this fragrance, it naturally smells cheap, because I just associate splash on aftershaves and spray on deodorant. Personally, can't imagine anyone under the age of 40 being overly attracted to this. I know a couple of the younger reviewers like this one, like Bradley from Triple Ink loves it. So taste is subjective, and I'm not saying that if you're young you can't pull it off. For me though, in my imagination, this is 40, 50, 60 kind of age range, and it just smells on the cheap side. Now the thing is, I'm sure that they spent a lot of time developing this, because this is the first release after Aventus, which has become like a holy grail, legendary king fragrance that not many fragrances in the world kind of reach that level, and Aventus is one of those. And Creed, I think, are in a difficult situation there, because in one hand is good for them because they're earning a lot of money from that one fragrance that's supporting them to do other things and bringing in the money that they need to support the business. in another hand, it makes it incredibly difficult to release a fragrance after that, because of the anticipation of, is it going to be better than the King Aventus? And there's a lot to live up to there, and there's a lot of expectation placed in front of you before it's released. So this one, expectation hype through the roof before it was released. And I think partly that is the reason why maybe it gets a bit more of a negative reaction, is because of that. If you took Aventus out of the ballpark that never existed, I think maybe the reception of this would be a little bit better. For me though, you know, I can appreciate that. I'm sure because of that reason, because of them knowing that this is the, you know, a big release for them, that they worked very hard on developing this. I have no doubt that they worked a long time developing and coming up with this fragrance, no question. So I'm not going to outrightly say it's shit because someone worked hard on it. I don't doubt that for a second, but whatever they were going for, I don't think hit the nail on the head. I don't see this as a broad, maybe it's not meant to be a broad mass appealing fragrance, maybe the demographic is 50 and over, I don't know what they were going for, but for me it seems to have missed. And I think it comes at a bad time because of the price increase. They got rid of their 30ml bottles and made it standard 50ml and 100ml, whereas before you could get a 75, and now you're paying more money for less juice. I think that annoys a lot of people, makes people angry, and so that combined with this kind of disappointing in a way release is like a double whammy for people to hate on it. So, you know, not the best start for Viking, although I'm sure, you know, there are a lot of people that do like it, and so it's not all bad. But for me, it smells outdated and it's not what I would like, and it does feel the overpriced edge, really. It doesn't, when I smell it, I don't go, oh, I want to spend all that money on it, because it is expensive. But that's down to personal taste, that I don't like the way it smells. But I do understand why certain companies might have to raise prices. I actually don't have a problem with that. You know, in business, you're not just charging for the cost of the juice and the bottle and the box. It's everything. You've got to think of the bigger picture here. You know, they'll have a big facility, they're distilling their own oils, they're paying staff to help them, they've probably got chemists, they've got people bottling, you know, there's people that they have to pay a wage and a living to. And then you've got the cost of running the facility, the electricity, the heating, the water, like there's just so many costs involved that people just don't think about that come into the equation. So I understand that, you know, yes, you might not think the juice itself is worth that money, but it's not the juice that you're buying specifically, it's the whole keeping the organization, the business going. It costs a little bit more money than just the juice. You know, I get that brands have to actually make a living here. It's so I actually don't have anything particularly against the price increase. Also, when you have a set price for a long period of time, you're compensating for rises in inflation over periods of time, where you're riding out that inflation with a set price. But it comes to a point when that's no longer viable, and you're going to have to change your price structure because prices have raised and your prices have stayed the same. It's the same with any business. It's the same in a pub buying a pint of beer. You know, they have a flat rate for maybe 6 months of the year or even a year, and then they'll raise their prices by 20p, 50p, 70p, whatever it is. And that's to match the rising cost within the business. That's a natural thing that companies have to take into consideration, which as a consumer you don't think about. You don't think about the company having to pay more, and that's why they're raising the prices. So for me, I understand sometimes some people have to raise the prices. That isn't an issue for me, but this one smells outdated and it's not for me. It might be for you if you like spicy, fresh fragrances. That's it, that's my opinion. In terms of longevity, I got around 7 to 8 hours and it projected modestly, pretty good. Can't complain about the performance of this one. I will end it on the note of saying that taste is personal. You know, I like sweet popcorn, you might like salty popcorn. You wouldn't be offended, you know, if we had different tasting popcorn. So please don't be offended if I have a different tasting fragrance. Just accept that some people like sweet popcorn and some people like salty popcorn. It's the same as food, we just have different tastes and preferences. Doesn't mean that either of us are wrong. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again next time with another one. Take care. Bye.